when you're exploring the gene keys. There's lots of different ways to explore them, and they're archetypes that affect all of us because they're coded into our DNA. Gene key 55, whether you have it in your profile or not, we have all of them at some deep level because we're all in the same field together and we're influenced by them. And Gene Key 55 contains this prophecy that I use the allegory of the dragonfly because it's a difficult, otherwise it's quite hard for us to fully understand. And the prophecy is there's a new human emerging, around this time, particularly beginning in the year 2027 or around then. So we're moving very close to it, and it's a new human that's emerging. It's going to emerge over hundreds of years, and it's emerging from inside us, from inside our DNA, from a mutation that's taking place inside the human biome, the human genome, and is slowly going to change our species, but from the inside out. So when we look at like what's happening on the outside of the world, things crumbling, things falling away, things becoming less certain, things feeling more chaotic and predictable than ever, and the climate and all of this, it's actually at the other end of the spectrum is because something beautiful is being born from inside us. So there's a symbol. Another symbol is the phoenix. This beautiful creature that's arising from the ashes of the old. And I like the dragonfly symbol so much because the dragonfly lives underwater as a nymph, before it becomes a dragonfly. Bit like the story of the butterfly, but in a way it's even more dramatic. So it lives as a predator. It's a very successful underwater predator, a bit like humans. We're very successful predators. And we prey on each other in lots of different ways, and we prey on Gaia, and that's kind of, even though we're quite nice generally, essentially we haven't yet learned how to kind of really work together and in a harmonious way. So the future human, the one that's emerging, like the dragonfly, one day the dragonfly, the nymph that's lived underwater for a couple of years, suddenly comes up a stalk of grass. And I apologize if you've heard this story before from me, or you already know. It comes up a stalk of grass or a reed, and it comes into the light. And it's never done that before. It's never left the water. It's never come up out of the water. So it comes up out of the water, and it's hanging on this stalk in the light, and then the sun, the solar energy starts to work on it, and the series of mutations that have been going on inside it that are invisible, suddenly kind of crystallize, and this whole change takes place very, very rapidly. So if you consider it's lived 2 years or 3 years underwater, in the space of several hours, it becomes an entirely different creature. So the old form of it just splits open, and the water in it, that's the old element where it was living, actually creates a hydraulic pressure throughout the insect and starts to crack open the old skin, the larval skin, and then these wings appear, and then the thorax, which is that amazing, the body, starts to uncurl, and it splits open the old casing. And then you have these incredible wings, and if you've ever seen a dragonfly up close, you will see the remarkable iridescent color. So it goes from being this kind of gray, dark-colored, monochrome creature living on a sort of in a sort of low dimension, horizontal dimension. It suddenly becomes this incredibly complex being. And the other thing about the dragonfly is its eyes. It has one of the most advanced eyes of any creature. It has a fractal eye that's arranged in a hexagram type structure. If you look very closely at the dragonfly's eye, and you can see it's a fractal kind of holographic sort of instrument, right? And it revolves also in really acutely and quickly. And so it's able, the way it navigates, we can barely imagine how it navigates. It must see geometries. everywhere it goes. And it's one of the most aerodynamic, ancient, successful flying creatures on the planet. So it becomes a dragon. So this horizontal creature becomes a multidimensional, iridescent dragonfly creature. Obviously the wind then takes it and explores its new life and its new realm. And that level of change is what we're looking at. That's the prophecy of Gene Key 55. We're looking at that level of change and that speed of change. If you can apply that, it doesn't mean it's in a few hours, but if you apply it to us, like for hundreds of thousands of years, we've been operating at this one horizontal frequency. And this happened before a long, long time ago when Neanderthal split and there was a mutation, and then we became Cro-Magnon man and we became Homo sapiens. We call the Homo sapiens slightly ironically because we're not very wise yet. But the new one I call Homo sanctus, which is the sacred human, because the next level of our iteration of our consciousness, of our awareness, is to experience directly that we are one being. So it's a collective consciousness. So there has to take place inside us a mutation of the operating system of our brain, of our biology, of our biome, especially our solar plexus, because that's really where the deepest mutations occur, because most of our DNA is actually in our gut. And, our gut and the way it's connected to our brain, if there's a mutation, if there's a series of mutations there, it can change our entire awareness. And so the prediction of Gene Key 55 is that our awareness will start to network outside our body. So our awareness will travel across space-time and connect us together. So the new human will be born with these abilities. And actually what's really interesting is that if you look at the rise of autism around the planet, and recently very kind of a series of podcasts, I don't know if you've heard of them yet, the telepathy tapes, I really recommend them, where these children and their powers are being explored, and it's suddenly become clear that actually this mutation is indeed appearing already in early forms all across our planet. And it's appearing, and it's in these unusual places, and it's traveling through all of us in different ways. And so when I talk about this future human, I'm talking about something really extraordinary that we can hardly get our head around, that's emerging naturally from inside us, and in time, I think we'll be able to see it much more clearly. But yeah, it's going to colonize us. It's probably going to split us as a species as well. So we're going to have old versions of ourselves living alongside new versions, and that could be quite interesting.
Hey there, Inspired Evolutionary. If you absolutely loved this, well then here's a full conversation with this guest on the Inspired Evolution podcast. Check it out now.